Universal basic income, guaranteed income, unconditional income. These words are coming up with greater frequency in the news and other media outlets as this topic becomes more mainstream. While universal basic income, or UBI, is a popular topic in the present day, the idea of a guaranteed income first originated in the 16th century with Sir Thomas More's book Utopia. Published in 1516, Utopia describes a society in which wealth is distributed through a basic income program which causes all areas of society to prosper. The sentiment expressed in More's centuries-old novel is a key reason why many today advocate the implementation of a UBI system in countries across the globe. In a time of increasing inequality and wealth disparities, people are looking for new and potentially more efficient ways to redistribute income than current social welfare programs, and many have turned to UBI to see if it will be the solution to a modernizing society. According to Andrew Yang, the modern definition of UBI is a form of social security that guarantees a certain amount of money to every citizen within a given governed population, without having to pass a test or fulfill a work requirement. This definition of UBI is known as unconditional full UBI because it covers all areas of a population and does not have any requirements in order to be eligible for this program. However, this definition does not include the key goals and effects of UBI expressed in More's novel, which are why many push for implementing UBI in the modern day. The implementation of a universal basic income is likely to have several positive results on society. Unlike current welfare programs, UBI does not have a high standard for participants. According to a Stanford scholar, Jennifer Burns, in order to obtain welfare, one must not be employed and have almost no assets in the current welfare system. Once a person reaches this point, the welfare kicks in. However, since UBI does not have this standard, it would continually provide aid before people reach this point, and therefore avoiding it altogether. Another negative aspect of current welfare programs is the fact that once recipients find work, their benefits are taken away, removing the incentive to find work. However, since UBI does not go away once employed, there are no benefits of not being employed. Therefore, people are more willing to join the workforce in order to make additional income, as income from solely UBI is not enough to live off of entirely. In addition, a UBI system would not protect workers in an age of technology with robots and machines taking over jobs by acting as a security net when jobs are lost. According to Anne Lowry, journalist for The Atlantic and author of the book Give People Money, those looking for a job would be able to find work sooner if they were given this small source of income from UBI, since the longer a person is unemployed, the longer it takes to find employment. In addition, economists Emmanuel Saez and Thomas Piketty found that from 1979 to 2014, the bottom half of earners have been earning a smaller amount of overall income, while the top 1% has been increasing the percentage of overall income in which they are earning. UBI would balance these numbers and prevent this shrinkage of the middle class. Furthermore, presidential candidate Andrew Yang claims that UBI will increase entrepreneurship because it would act as a safety net if a business were to fail. In addition, it will increase disposable income, increasing the number of consumers as more people are willing to spend. Additionally, a study done by the Roosevelt Institute found that UBI would create 4.6 million jobs and increase the economy by 12% continuously. Past UBI experiments have also affirmed the many benefits of UBI. In the 1970s, many UBI experiments took place, including some in North America. The largest scale experiment was conducted in Dauphin, Canada, and was a 5-year federally funded experiment with basic income in the town of Dauphin, Canada. This experiment proved to be successful. It guaranteed an income above the poverty line, around $19,000 for a family of 4, and resulted in people staying in school longer and spending more time with their families, while hospitalizations, domestic violence, and mental health complaints declined. During that time, 4 experimental programs across the United States found that people consistently worked fewer hours and spent most of their free time into parenting, independent artistic pursuits, and education. This illustrates that having a UBI would free many people from long work hours and have them spend more time enriching their lives, improving the overall quality of life of a population. Similarly, other UBI programs have proved to benefit society. In Namibia's UBI program, in 2007 to 2012, household poverty rates were reduced from 76% to 37%. In addition, child malnutrition rates fell from 42% to 17%. The Mincome experiment reduced hospitalization. The BIG pilot project in Namibia reduced crime, reduced school dropouts, and improved health. Give Directly in Kenya increased assets and nutrition. Despite its potential benefits for society and the economy, UBI would come at a great cost, with many possible negative effects as well. A UBI system is very likely to change how many Americans choose to work. As 1/4 of the U.S. makes $25,000 or less annually, a $10,000 check as a part of UBI would change how work is divided in families, and many people would choose to work part-time instead of full-time. A major decrease in the full-time labor force would lead directly to decreases in the growth of the U.S. economy, with shrinking GDP growth and decreased tax revenue. In addition to potential long-term economic harm, the implementation of UBI would be extremely costly. A program with a monthly grant of $1,000, totaling to $12,000 per year, would have an annual cost between $1.75 and $2.5 trillion, which is equal to nearly an eighth of America's GDP. The current social safety net costs $2.6 trillion and includes the necessary Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, and veterans benefits. Unless these programs were removed, funding for this UBI program would require a 73% federal revenue increase. This huge draw on financial resources would prevent the government from using these funds in other important ways, such as on improving infrastructure. Proponents of UBI claim that this cost is affordable because it will simply replace the current safety net, which has proven necessary in America. Proponents of UBI claim that this cost is affordable because it will simply replace the current safety net, which has proven necessary in America. Even if UBI were to replace the already very expensive current welfare system, it would be even more pricey. The current welfare system works by determining who qualifies and basing their aid on those findings. However, UBI gives aid to everyone despite financial situation. Therefore, more citizens would be receiving money, making it a more costly system. According to the Foundation for Economic Education, the only positive findings from an economic simulation done by the Roosevelt Institute rely on increasing the federal deficit, putting the country in higher debt. Another way to pay for the system would be through taxes. However, it was found that there is no net benefit to the overall national economy. When paying for the policy by increasing taxes on households rather than paying for the policy with debt, the policy is not expansionary. In effect, it is giving to households with one hand what it is taking away with the other. There is no net effect. In modern times, the increasing automation of society has led to an increased interest in the implementation of a universal basic income around the world. Prominent individuals who advance the technology of today's society, such as Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, and Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, have argued that the automation of labor, to an extent that it would impact the human labor force, is inevitable, and that because of this, basic income will become a necessity.
I do think there's a pretty good chance we end up with a universal basic income or something like that due to automation. I'm not sure what else one would do. There's, but that's kind of, I think, what would happen. And people have time to do other things and more complex things, more interesting things, so they have more leisure time.
This sentiment is also displayed by the actions of several world nations, the most prominent of which being Finland. In 2017, Finland began a trial among 2,000 people in which they were given an unconditional monthly payment before the trial was ended prematurely. In Alaska, residents are given $2,000 annually from the oil industry. Similarly, many other countries worldwide have done small-scale trials as a way of observing the effects of universal basic income. In the United States, Democratic Party presidential hopeful Andrew Yang has made a splash in the political scene by running for his party's nomination with a platform based around universal basic income. Yang's website, which explains various parts of UBI and his reasoning for proposing it, has attracted many curious people, and his speeches and interviews have given him and UBI more visibility and made more Americans interested in the idea of UBI and what it would mean for America. In many of his interviews, Yang is asked to defend various aspects of his ambitious UBI plan, and one key issue that has many concerned is the potential cost of UBI in America.
Let me ask you the other, I think, really important question is, in your plan, how would you pay for this? because there have been different ideas that I've seen, changes to the earned income tax credit. I mean, let's get into the brass tacks. How would Andrew Yang pitch paying for something that could be 10 to 12% of the GDP, that expensive of a government program?
So again, I just want to say it's not a government program and that every dollar goes into the hands of an American citizen. It's a true dividend, where if you were a company and you said, hey, we're declaring a dividend, we're giving this money to shareholders, then everyone would say that's great management. In this case, we, the citizens of this country, are the owners, and if the dividend comes to us, then it's not a government program, it's simply the shareholders of society receiving some of the vast wealth of the society. So it's not a government program, it's actually extraordinarily inexpensive to administer, because if it's truly universal, you don't have case managers or people trying to figure out how much money you make. Like, all of that stuff goes away.
Opposing Andrew Yang and leaders of tech industries are several prominent economists, such as Paul Krugman.
I'm not a UBI guy, not now. I'm not a UBI guy, not now. And the reason is basically it's a lot of money. And given that there are constraints, political constraints on how much money we're going to be able to get together for social programs, the trouble with UBI is that either it's going to cost an amount that's beyond what I expect to be politically possible in the next several decades, or it's going to be way inadequate. And so more targeted programs that focus on people with real needs, and that includes everything from, of course, universal health care, which we should do right away one way or another, to various kinds of income supports for families with children and so on. There's a whole lot. If you ask what we can do with a sum substantially less than UBI would cost, it's a lot. And to say, well, no, we must have UBI, that would only make sense if we were right on the verge at the point where the robots take all of our jobs, and that doesn't look, there's no sign that that's actually happening.
In the modern day, where existing welfare programs are dated and ineffective, creative and unorthodox solutions are desperately needed. Andrew Yang and his platform based on UBI has elevated the idea to a position of greater visibility, and America and the world will wait to see if his ideas become reality in some form or another.